Okay, so let's picture this. You're driving down I-10, maybe, in your shiny new EV, feeling pretty good about skipping the gas station.
Hmm.
But then you get home, pull into the driveway, and you see that little dashboard light. Time to charge.
Right.
Which brings us right to the big question we're diving into today. If you're a Houston homeowner, is your house actually ready for an EV charger?
Yeah, that's such a key question for so many people in Houston right now. I mean, public charging stations are popping up more, sure,
Mm,
but the real game changer with an EV, it's that convenience of charging right at home.
totally.
Just think about it. You plug in when you arrive home, maybe overnight, and boom, full battery in the morning.
And maybe saving some cash too, right? Lower electricity rates sometimes.
Exactly, especially if you charge off peak. And you definitely skip waiting around at public chargers. No lines at your own house.
Love that. So, okay, our mission for this deep dive, using some really practical advice from Smart Choice Electrical as our guide, is basically to arm you, the listener, the Houston homeowner, with the essential stuff you need to know. To figure out if your home is EV ready before you even start shopping for chargers.
Let's do it.
Okay.
So the absolute number one thing you got to look at, and this is super important in Houston because we have such a mix of older and newer homes, is your electrical panel's capacity.
Okay.
Like, can your current setup actually handle the extra juice an EV charger needs? A lot of older homes, frankly, just weren't designed for that kind of power draw.
Right. So if your panel's been around a while, maybe, 20, 30 years old? Or if
Yeah.
it's rated under 200 amps, that's a flag.
That's definitely a heads up. Smart Choice Electrical points out you might be looking at a panel upgrade in those cases.
Okay. Are there other signs, like things you might notice yourself, that suggest your system isn't quite up to snuff?
Yeah, good question. Keep an eye out for circuit breakers tripping a lot. If you're constantly resetting them, that's a big clue. Or flickering lights when big appliances kick on, like your air conditioner, which, let's face it, runs nonstop here.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe your microwave. That could mean the system's already strained. Also, it's worth just looking at the brand on your panel. Some older ones like Zinsco or Federal Pacific, they have known safety issues. But really, the best way to know for sure, get a licensed electrician to come out and do a proper evaluation.
That makes total sense. Okay, so step one is the panel check. Let's say you've done that. Maybe it looks okay. Maybe you suspect an upgrade's needed. What's next on the list for a Houston homeowner prepping for home charging?
All right, next up is picking the right type of charger and, just as crucial, deciding where it's going to live.
Okay.
For most homeowners, honestly, a level 2 charger is the sweet spot. It uses a 240-volt circuit, kind of like your electric dryer or oven uses.
Gotcha.
And it'll typically charge most EVs fully in, say, 6 to 8 hours. Perfect for overnight charging.
And the location part, I'm thinking, some people have garages, others maybe just a carport or driveway. Does that matter much?
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with Houston weather. A garage is often ideal. It's protected, convenient.
Sure.
If you're parking in a carport or right on the driveway, you'll need to make sure the charger itself is rated for outdoor use, weatherproof.
Right, rain, humidity.
Exactly. And another practical thing, think about how far your parking spot is from your electrical panel.
Yeah,
The shorter the distance, usually the cheaper the wiring part of the installation will be.
good tip.
And Smart Choice Electrical also brings up smart chargers. These could be really handy, particularly for managing energy use here.
Oh, the ones you control with an app. Tell me more about those benefits.
Precisely. So smart chargers let you schedule when your car charges. Maybe you set it for late at night when electricity rates might be lower.
Smart.
Yeah. And you can monitor the charging from your phone, see how much energy you're using. It gives you a lot more control, potentially saving you money.
Okay, cool. So panel checked, charger type considered, location scouted. What about the official side of things? Permits, codes? Is it just plug and go here in Houston?
Not quite. Yeah, installing an EV charger isn't just like plugging in a new appliance. Houston, like most places, has specific electrical codes, and you usually need a permit. Safety is the main reason.
Okay, what kind of things are covered by code?
Well, you need the right kind of circuit protection. That means the correct type of breaker in your panel, and usually a GFCI.
GFCI, that's the ground fault thing.
Exactly, ground fault circuit interrupter. It's a critical safety device, helps prevent shocks, especially vital in garages or outdoors where moisture might be present. Houston humidity.
Right.
Plus, the installation has to follow the National Electrical Code, specifically Article 625, which is all about EV charging systems. And there are rules about placement, how high off the ground it needs to be mounted, things like that.
Wow, okay. Sounds like a bit of red tape.
It can seem like it. Which is why, honestly, It's almost always best to use a licensed electrician. They know the local Houston requirements, they handle the permitting, they make sure everything's up to code and passes inspection.
That brings us to a really key point, doesn't it? Why shouldn't someone just, watch a YouTube video and try installing it themselves?
Yeah, please don't do that.
Yeah.
Seriously though, safety is number one. You're dealing with 240 volts, high amperage. A mistake could, well, it could damage your very expensive EV, or worse, cause a fire.
Yikes.
Licensed electricians, like the pros Smart Choice Electrical works with, they have the training, the tools, the knowledge to do it safely and correctly. They should also be licensed, bonded, and insured, which protects you.
Peace of mind, basically.
Totally. Plus, they've likely installed dozens, maybe hundreds of these things, different brands, different situations. They know what they're doing from the initial check to the final test.
Makes sense. Now, you mentioned the panel capacity earlier, but Smart Choice Electrical also says homeowners here should think about their home's total electrical load. Why is that especially important in Houston's climate?
Great point. It ties back to that heat. EV chargers draw a lot of power, right? Now, layer that onto everything else we run in Houston, especially during summer. Big AC units, working hard, maybe a pool pump humming away, electric dryers. All running at the same time, potentially.
Yeah, I can see how that adds up fast.
Exactly. You could inadvertently overload your whole system if you don't account for everything. That's why getting an electric load calculation or analysis is often recommended. It figures out if your current service can actually handle the EV charger plus everything else, or you might need some upgrades to prevent issues like tripping the main breaker.
Definitely something to consider before flipping the switch on that charger and the AC and the pool pump all at once.
Precisely.
So, thinking bigger picture for a second, when you're getting this EV charger work done, are there other electrical upgrades maybe worth considering at the same time, kind of future-proofing?
Absolutely. It's actually a great opportunity to look at your whole system. Smart Choice Electrical suggests thinking about things like whole house surge protection.
Oh yeah, thunderstorms here.
Definitely. It protects not just your EV charger, but all your sensitive electronics from power surges. You might also look into other smart home tech for energy management, maybe adding dedicated circuits for other big appliances if needed, or even getting your home assessed for solar readiness, if that's on your radar down the line.
Makes sense to bundle things if you've already got an electrician coming out.
For sure.
Okay, the big question everyone always has, cost. What's a ballpark figure for getting a level 2 charger installed in Houston? And are there ways to soften that financial hit?
Right, the budget. So costs can definitely vary. It depends on, how complex the job is, the condition of your existing electrical system, how far the wiring needs to run.
Sure.
But for a pretty straightforward level 2 installation, you might be looking somewhere in the range of, say, $500 to $1,200 typically.
Okay.
If you do need significant work, like that panel upgrade we talked about, or maybe really long wiring runs, then yeah, it could climb higher, maybe $1,000 to $2,500, sometimes more, depending on the specifics.
Gotcha. But you mentioned softening the blow. Incentives.
Yes. Good news there. There's a big one. The federal tax credit through the Inflation Reduction Act. It covers 30% of your total installation cost. That includes the charger and the labor, up to a maximum credit of $1,000.
Well, nice. That's significant.
It really is. And on top of that, it's definitely worth checking with your local utility company here in the Houston area. Sometimes they offer their own rebates or special programs for EV charger installations. So do a little digging there too.
Excellent. Okay, so if we had to boil it all down, what's the main takeaway for a Houstonian starting to think about getting an EV and charging at home?
I'd say the biggest thing is plan ahead for the charging part. Don't treat it as an afterthought. It's really a fundamental piece of the whole EV ownership puzzle.
Right.
Understanding your home's electrical situation and getting things properly set up beforehand just makes the whole transition so much smoother.
Absolutely. And really, when you nail the home charging setup, you unlock that core promise of EVs, right?
Mm-hmm.
The convenience, the potential cost savings over time.
That's exactly it. So if you're here in Houston and an EV is on your mind, step one is really assessing your home's readiness. Take a look at your panel, think about location, and honestly, consider getting a qualified electrician involved early for tailored advice.
Sound advice. And maybe one final thought for everyone listening. Just think about how making this switch, embracing EV tech, doesn't just change your commute, but it also plays a part, even a small one, in building a more sustainable future for Houston overall.
Well said. Definitely something to chew on.